The writing process is our ability to change and grow through the written word. It also includes how we first learn to write and the individual steps we take to create writing. It is very important that teachers understand all aspects of writing development in order to successfully teach and assess the writing process in the classroom. The class textbook Literacy for the 21st Century outlines the writing process describing the steps students go through when they create a piece of writing. Okay, so stage 1 is the pre-writing stage. It's where students choose a topic to write about. They consider the purpose for the writing, and they identify the text type the writing that is writing take. They engage in rehearsal activities to gather ideas about their writing, and they also use a graphic organizer to organize these ideas. Stage 2 is the drafting stage. This is where students write a rough draft and focus more on the ideas rather than the mechanical or conventional correctness. Stage 3 is the revising stage. This is where students reread the draft. They share their writing in their writing groups. They make changes that reflect their classmates' opinions on their writing, and they also have a small mini conference with them. Stage 4 is the editing stage. This is where students reread through their draft and see if they can improve the structure, the sentence patterns, and the vocabulary they use. They proofread the revised draft again and identify and correct any spelling. They check their centers and clause and boundary markers, as well as other punctuation and grammar errors. There's again another small conference with the teacher. Stage 5 is the final stage that Literacy for the 21st Century identifies. It's where students make a final copy of their writing, and then they share their finished writing with an appropriate author. The concept writing method development outlines a writing process that describes the development one goes through as they learn to write and become more fluent and successful. This approach, interestingly, includes a stage based on children's own lives and how they see it as writing. Most research doesn't take this into consideration and states that the first stage of writing process is when one actually starts to write real letters and words. In this phase, writers emulate adult writing by experimenting with marks to represent written language. Role-play writers are beginning to understand that writing is used to convey meaningful messages. However, as understanding about sounds and relationships begin to develop, their messages are not yet readable by others. Role-play writers rely heavily on topic knowledge to generate text. And this is the experimental phase. In this phase, writers are aware that speech should be written down. Experimental writers rely on familiar topics to generate a variety of text, such as greeting cards, lists, and letters. They demonstrate an understanding of one-to-one correspondence and most spoken words in their written text. These letters may consist of 1, 2, or 3 letters and reflect their developing understanding. Early writers produce a small range of texts that exhibit some of the conventions of writing. Texts such as retail, reports, and emails are proposed to share experiences, information, or feelings. Early writers have a small bank of frequently used words that they are able to spell correctly. When writing unknown words, they choose letters on the basis of sound, with no regard for conventional spelling patterns. The next stage is the transitional phase. Transitional writers show increasing control over the conventions of writing, such as punctuation, spelling, and text organisation. They consider audience and purpose when selecting ideas and information to be included in text. They compose a range of text, including explanations, narratives, brochures, and electronic presentations. Writing shows evidence of a bank of known words that are spelled correctly. Transitional writers are moving away from a heavy reliance on sounding out and are beginning to integrate visual and meaning-based strategies to spell unknown words. The next stage is the conventional phase. Conventional writers demonstrate control over the conventions of writing and most components of the writing process. While composing, they take responsibility for adjusting the language and content to suit specific audiences and purposes. Conventional writers craft a variety of literary and informational texts such as biographies, web pages, and documentary scripts. In this phase, writers are use an increasing bank of known words and select from a wide vocabulary. They integrate a range of strategies to spell unknown words. The next stage is the proficient phase. Proficient writers demonstrate control of all components of the writing process. They understand how purpose and audience impact on writing and are able to craft and insert text to suit this. They propose texts such as research papers, newspaper articles, expositions, and hard text. Proficient writers are able to convey detailed information and explore different perspectives. They have developed and the extensive vocabulary and the multi-strategy approach to spelling. The final stage is the accomplished phase. Accomplished writers are able to make critical choices about all components of writing, including style, vocabulary, and content, as they craft a wide range of text. They are able to develop complex ideas, sustain coherence, and present information clearly. Writers in this phase reflect on, evaluate, and critique their own writing to ensure that they have achieved their specific purpose for the intended audience. Literacy for learners or vocabulary grade is always the exact same stages of the writing process as the first steps of writing writing. Their stages are role-play writing, experimental writing, daily writing, commercial writing, and proficient writing, and followed by advanced writing. The only differences in Campbell Green's model is that they do not actually acknowledge the transitional stage as the first step. The textbook literacy, reading and writing in children's literature believes that students learn in three stages. These are literacy at school, the developing writer, and the proficient writer. Literacy at school understands that students rely on a lot of stimuli to form ideas of their writing, meaning that at a young age they have to be prompted to start writing. They also construct their writing as if they are speaking it, so they don't understand the difference between how we talk and how we write. They don't use any abstract concepts, and little punctuation is used. The developing writer is able to use a variety of texts. They also have an understanding of their audience. They're receptive to editing their work. They also understand how to change the audience appeal. They demonstrate good vocabulary and legible handwriting. The proficient writer demonstrates all of those previously discussed, and they are also able to use a lot of outside models. They have a greater awareness of the reader, and they're also able to develop interest and maintain interest. A researcher learns to write by Donna Reeves. He establishes three different stages of the writing process. Pre-writing, composing, and post-writing. In the pre-writing stage, it occurs immediately before the writing of a child. Within this phase, it is possible to witness the rehearsal factor leading to a child after writing. Some students use drawings to determine what they're going to write, and they may not necessarily know what they're going to write until they finish their drawing. The composing stage begins and ends with the actual writing of the message. The post-writing stage, this stage refers to all behaviours following the actual completion of the child's first composing, so product disposition, the child's solicitation of food from others, proofreading and contemplation of the finished product. Early writing development is an introductory model to writing. In 1989, 6 teachers came together and decided that there was not a suitable model to help teach children how to write. After several years of classroom-based research, they collaborated and formed this model and towards the first stages of writing development. The first level is orientation towards writing, which involves scribbled text with or without illustration. The second level is early text making, writing which the child can read, including some conventional letters. Level 3 is the initial independent writing stage. Simple text that can be read, at least in part by others, are created by the student. Level 4 is associated writing. Accurate and fluent text in which ideas are written without much difficulty. And the last stage is beyond level 4, which includes text using different genre schemes like personal narrative, thought, and explanation. The introductory model to writing was developed for students from the age of 4 all the way through to the ages of 9, and all the levels included pretty much summed up in the first 2 levels of the first step guide. The authors have stated that writing makes 2 major demands when taking part in it. The first being the composing aspect, which is what the writer wants to say. The second is the skills needed to make the message intelligible to other readers, which is the performing aspect. Both interrelate and affect one another throughout the writing process. For example, if a level 1 student is producing scribbled text, they will be learning that through composing aspects how writing differs from drawing, and the performing aspect that they'll learn is to pay attention to tone. It is the teacher's role to help students maintain a balance between the demands of both the thinking and performing aspects when they are writing. Assessment is extremely important in helping students to continue to grow and learn in their writing. In order to make sure that students understand that effective writing looks beyond punctuation and spelling, we must try and ensure that as teachers, we assess in the same way. Wilkinson's model looks at assessing student learning by focusing on 4 major points and determining whether they are evident in the student's writing. The model looks at cognitive, the writer's awareness of the world, one's ability to describe, generalise, interpret, and speculate. Affective, the writer's awareness of emotions and feelings of self and of other people, also an awareness of the environment and reality. Moral, the writer's awareness of a value system. And stylistic, the writer's awareness of syntax, verbal competence, text organisation, cohesion, and appropriateness of text. Evaluating students' writing based on these ideas will help to ensure students have a clear idea of where they are lacking and what they need to improve on. Focusing on these points as a sequential approach to writing development will be effective because once students can demonstrate all of these points, they'll be able to create purposeful and meaningful work. When we look at assessing student writing, we must ensure that we assess them depending on the different stages of writing development. Teachers must be aware of these stages and of the components of each stage to ensure that they can effectively decide whether a student has reached a particular stage. With this in mind, teachers and students must understand that a student cannot progress to the next stage unless they reach all of the outcomes of the previous stage. What this means is that we must ensure that we teach scaffolding, that students must get to a certain point before they progress to the next stage. It is important that the teacher assesses by specific ability level because across one classroom there can be serious different levels of achievement. If we were to assess students just one overall outcome, this could seriously hinder struggling students. Assessments need to aim to help students want to achieve better and become better writers. A mini lesson, or a lesson that could be used as a literacy rotation that we have created, has a focus on the genre approach to teaching writing. Students must be able to actively recognise a text type and then be able to modify or create the same text to show originality. As teachers, we must scaffold student learning once again so they are able to achieve this outcome. Understanding genres will also help students to understand why the writer has chosen a particular genre and the effect that this can have on the audience. So the lesson plan is for a Year 2 class. So the body of the lesson looks at the book The Rainbow Fish. The narrative style text, The Rainbow Fish, will be used in this lesson. Firstly, the teacher will read the book to the class all the way through without stopping. In the second reading of the book, the teacher will stop at each page and they will discuss any points that the children may not understand or they wish to clarify. On the second reading, once the second reading has been done, students will then return to their seats. The teacher is going to write on the board, beginning, middle and end. And as a class, the students will decide which parts of the book are the beginning, the middle and the end. The students will then discuss the characteristics of a narrative and whether they believe the rainbow fish will be classed as narrative. Students will then look at the intended target audience of the text, as well as what the common theme of the book is. Students will then be given time to plan their own mini-narrative with a focus on the moral story. Okay, so this is mini lesson number 2. This mini lesson focuses on providing students with strategies they can use when partaking in the pre-writing stage, specifically the textbook. It is important for teachers to provide students with a variety of different methods that can be varied from the type of writing techniques that they have to prepare. This mini lesson will provide students with a way of generating ideas for creating stories or short tales. Okay, so this is a lesson plan for a Year 2 class. The body of the lesson is students will sit on the mat in a circular formation using a history bag full of rocks that have pictures glued onto them. The teacher will go around the room and have each student pull a rock from the bag. Each rock will actually have a different picture on it. Using the picture on the rock, each student is required to think of a word to describe the picture on their rock. Once each student has had the chance to describe the picture in one word, all rocks will be returned to the bag. Students will then each draw another rock from the bag again, only this time they will give a sentence describing the new picture that they have in their hands. Again, after going around the circle completely, all rocks will be returned to the bag. For the third time, each student will withdraw a rock from the bag. With the person on their right, each student will pair up and create a short paragraph that describes the book of their picture. Using the pictures they now have, students will return to their group seating, so actually seated in groups of 4. In their creative writing book, students will draw the 4 pictures that are on the rocks of their group members as well as their own. Students will then create a short story individually using the 4 pictures provided.